Gail, anxiety. Seems to me that everyone is obsessed with anxiety these days. How do you, as a leader, overcome anxiety?
Oh, I could probably spend days talking about this one because it's one of the areas that I love, finding our balance. I remember a book that came out, this was probably about 10 years ago, called The Book of Lists. And in the book, they do the top 10 of everything, top 10 favorite places of vacation. They poll Americans, top 10 favorite restaurants. And one of the lists was the top 10 fears. Number one fear, public speaking.
Is that right?
Death was four. People would rather die than present. And I think that's what a lot of people, a lot when I'm working with clients, that's how they feel. They just feel such a level of anxiety. So what I want to talk to you today is about some components about it, about presenting, and how do you actually overcome some of that anxiety and the nervousness that goes with it. First thing that I've discovered and I work with people on is that presenting is a physical sport. It's not just grabbing words, putting it together, organizing it, memorizing it in your head while you're driving to work or driving wherever you're going, thinking about it in the shower. It's not that. It's in our bodies. And so anxiety is also in our bodies. So having our words integrated with the feeling behind it, being able to back it, all of those components add to preparation to be able to override anxiety. Okay. Because when the energy barrels in, and I've been presenting for 30 years, when the energy barrels in, it barrels in. And to this day, I still get nervous. I still feel my heart pound. And it's energy coming in so that I can be larger than life. So I can take whatever my message is and broadcast it out. So people can feel it and be moved because I'm being moved. So what comes with that nervousness is how do we direct it? How do we find the balance even when it feels really bumpy? So let me talk to you about a couple of ways to override it. One is to know your information well. I can't emphasize this enough. If somebody else has put together your deck and you go to do it, it's not yours yet. You've got to make it yours. Sometimes that means you got to tweak some of things. Some of knowing it is, what are the phrases that I get stumbled on? What are the things I just don't want to say? How do I change that so make it mine? I remember watching Tom Cruise on a documentary miniseries where he was speaking to a group of student actors. Okay. Somebody asked the question, how is it that how do you memorize, how do you prepare for your scenes? He said, I prepare, I memorize some of my lines, I know what I'm going to say, I know where I want to be, I know what I want the audience to feel. Mm-hmm. And so I don't encourage anybody to actually memorize a presentation. Know your key points of what you want your audience to feel. Where do you want to emphasize things? Where do you want to underline it so people go and repeat it and your presentation is actually memorable?
So is it through rehearsals and practicing, repracticing?
Part of it, yes, it's rehearsal. And that's my second point is rehearsing. Rehearsing means not just reading it, because that's your eyes get it. Right. But your ears have to get it and your body has to get it.
That's interesting.
My recommendation is you read it through maybe the first time, maybe a couple of times. You stand up, you put yourself in how it's really going to be if you're going to be standing. Right. Or if you're going to be in front of a computer, I would do the same thing and still put yourself in the physical arena that will be the actual live presentation. Because you never want to go into a presentation and speak it for the first time in front of a live audience.
I see what you're saying.
An engagement.
You got to go through the motion.
You gesture. Right. You have to go through it. Your eyes have to get around your audience. You have to let your body get in it. And if you let your body get in, your hands will begin to move. Your gestures will reinforce and saying this is important. Your stance will be more solid. You'll get a feel of where you want to move. You'll get a sense of your volume. All of that is part of rehearsing so that you hear it. And once you hear it, we learn by speaking out loud and our ears get to be part of it. Okay. And body gets to be part of it.
Makes sense.
Another way to get ready to overcome your anxiety when it's live is to prepare for objections. So if you know your material, then you begin to think about, okay, where are they going to have difficulty? So if you're in an audience where there potentially is Q&A, where somebody is going to either interrupt you or shout out a question, you need to be prepared. How am I going to respond to that? Especially if it's legitimate concerns. If you're on a Zoom screen and you're talking with group, same thing. Somebody could, hand up or just interject. If you're talking to 2,000 people, chances are, unless there's a really structured the presentation where there's Q&A, you need to know what those concerns are. And if you look at the objections, you can also address them in your presentation. So you may be thinking, we're not ready to make this change. Let me tell you why we are. Or we haven't put aside budget for this. And yet, let me tell you why this is critical we act.
Right.
So whatever that is, you think about those objections and you weave them in. It will reduce your anxiety.
Love that.
You know everybody's thinking it anyway.
I totally love that.
And you feel we are energy. We respond to each other. You'll feel the tension in them and you can fuel it yourself, or you can also reduce it. And this is one of the ways to reduce it.
Wow. Okay. Fantastic.
And then the one that I think is most overlooked, one of my favorites, is preparing internally. Great athletes use some form of picturing or visioning the outcome they desire. And they weave it into their daily routine. They picture the end result. This is a really good thing to be doing in a presentation, because if you don't, your thought bubble, your mind will take you to, I'm going to forget my words. I'm going to stumble. I'm going to look like an idiot. They're going to be critical. They won't hear me. Instead of, what's the desired end result? Oh, they love this. They're leaning in. They're engaged with me. They want to know more.
So you're back engineering from the end result. I think that's so brilliant.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I love that.
So there's a couple of ways I recommend people do this. Is to truly spend some time, close your eyes with yourself and picturing you doing a great presentation. So the last one I want to talk about today is about preparing internally. And it's one that I find most people leave out. We don't think about it. Yet, all professional athletes, high-level athletes, spend time on a regular basis tuning in and picturing themselves with their desired end results. How do they want their effort to manifest in the end result? Their speed, their height, whatever they're doing, the result. And in a presentation, if we picture ourselves dynamic, engaged, enthused, your audience responding, people leaning in, wanting to know more, if we do that, that's the direction we go. If we don't, it's too easy for the mind to take us into worry and doubt, and I will forget my words. I'll stumble. They won't like it. They'll be critical. Faces will be scowled. And before you know it, that's what you do. So there are many ways to prepare internally. And I would love to tell you more. I'd love for you to learn more about some of those tools as well at another time.
We don't have too much time left, so that will be for another time. But these are absolutely great examples of what can be done to alleviate anxiety. Thank you, Gail.
Yes. Thank you.